That feels better. Okay. Get. Hi, Miss TT. Good morning. Just getting set up. This is the last one on accountability. How are you? Did you have a good Valentine's Day? I hope you did. It was long. Yesterday was a holiday too, so it was a really long weekend. I love my kiddo, but man, it was a long one. Oh, there we go. Yes, I will absolutely do that today. I ran a bunch of them already, but I will go. Is there a specific one? Is it a different playlist? You tell me which one. Which one it is, and sorry, what's the title of it? Is there a specific one? Because I know I ran a whole bunch of them. I'm just not. I don't know which playlist it was. Week 6. Sorry, give me one sec. I can't. Is there just one playlist? 31 days. Oh, yes, perfect. Yep, I'll run it. Accountability. I can't. I know. I gotta. Well, first I need more subs, but um, I'm not even over 100 watch hours yet. So, but this year I'm good. I'm going to be monetized if it kills me. So we're doing what we got to do. I will do that. I'm actually going to write it down right now. Because as soon as I'm done my workshop, I have this one, and then I have to go to my actual workshop till 1 o'clock. But after that, I'll run it for the rest of the week. Oh, I know I will. I'm committed. And I'm really excited for the interview with Goga on Sunday, this coming Sunday. It's coming quick. I'm really excited. I'm going to play that on mine too, hopefully, if all goes well. But I'm going to delete the message. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they get, well, everybody should watch it. I don't know why. If I put a post that says, how close are you to monetization? Because uh, I think I was joined. Yeah, it will be good. I'm excited. Listen, I'm a member. You helped me get 50 subs. I'm up to 150 now. So it's slow and steady. And trust me, I'm good at keeping the faith. And I know that I support everybody when I can, the most I can. I've always got something going on. So I feel good about it. Like I know that people will show up for me. I just have to be patient, and I'm okay with that. What? What does that mean? Reuse content? I know. I go up to like 70 hours and then I'm back down to 60. I don't know. I don't understand why. It doesn't tell me why though. But it goes up and then it goes down. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works, but what is reuse content? Because you like like when you guys do the shorts, but I thought you were allowed to do that. People are I guess that's part of the thing I still don't understand. When they do stuff like that, it's not it's kind of shitty. Really it is. All right. Well, I will go through it. I'm gonna. Oh yeah, you told me what it was. I wrote it. Let me write it down. Where's the dollar sign one? The 31 days, right? That one. Yeah. So like one of my shorts got like 1.2K views, which I was surprised about, and then uh, so my watch hours went up to like 66, and then now it's down to 60 again. So I don't know what happened. I don't understand how or why, but it was getting them. And me, it's just if I can get people to watch these parts, then I think that it will be helpful. But again, I don't know enough about it, and as much as I want to do it and go live, I have my kiddo, and I feel like if I keep just putting out these videos and stuff, because the idea is if they watch the playlist, they're learning so much more. So it's slow, but it will be beneficial when they come. And when people are ready, they'll come. And so I just have to have faith in that. I've been posting them for a while now, and finally people are starting to show up. So I have to just have faith and know God sent me down this route, so it's for a reason. So that's what I'm doing. That's all I can do. And support everyone else along the way. And I'm happy to do that. I want to celebrate every single person as they're winning because it's exciting. Esther, welcome. Good morning. Okay, so this is week 6. What time is it? Don't let me get 9:42. Yeah, I gotta try and keep it kind of a little quick today because my workshop is at 11. So I have an hour and a bit. So I'm gonna try to go. Oh, I don't have give up in me. If you've seen the shit I've been through, this is like I'm in the cakewalk part right now. That's what it is. I've been through so much struggle that this is not ever gonna be a struggle. This is just like my fun time. So uh I mean, when you're actually struggling to survive, uh, getting a couple YouTube uh, people are building that up is just it's such a cakewalk. I'm excited for it, and I'm actually really enjoying the ride on the way up because I get to meet people and actually have those conversations, and that matters. It matters so much more than people know because you get to know them as a person, not just um, oh they're just putting this out there. No, they're putting out what they believe in, their passions. They're being happy about it. Welcome, Ashelina, flavor creator. I like that name. Welcome. So understanding that makes it a lot easier, and I'm excited. And look at all the people I've met. I can't brag enough about the people. I'm seeing my people, the people that actually align with me, that want to celebrate each other, that want to boost each other. I'm seeing that, and I'm so excited because those are my people, right? We can maybe not be doing that great all the time, but we're still going to boost each other up, and we're going to celebrate. We're not going to be like, oh, I'm doing shitty, so screw you. We're going to be like, oh, you're winning. That's fantastic. I'll get there too. You give me hope. It's such a different vibe, right? TikToker, welcome. All right, so we got week 6. This is the integration, and this is the part. So for those that haven't watched all the other episodes, there's many, many. Yeah, exactly. We are those people, and we're finding those people. Like they're coming to us, we're running into them, we're finding them through this connection and that connection. We're watching the web be weaved of all the people that need to be in our lives, and that's pretty awesome. You can actually see it because if I hadn't went through you, I would have never met Reds. I would have never met Goga. I would have never met Novelty. Like they all weave a certain way, and they're all fantastic people who I would have never met. Right. So when you look at it that way, there's something really to get excited about because these are people that are supportive, that want to know, that genuinely care. Right. And that's who they are. Love Slay Queen, welcome. And Willie and Watson, welcome. So this week is integration. I appreciate you. I brag you up all the time. Even when they say you're stirring the pot at church, I kind of have a laugh, and I'm like, you're just that vibe, that you're an absolute ball of love, and I love it so much. That's why we get along like we do. That energy is it can't be faked, right? It just is. You are who you are, and that's what makes you the most amazing person. When you have that much love to give, it's just it hits the room before you ever get there, you know. And that's an amazing thing to. That's a gift. It's just a gift. All right, so integration. This part is the part where you've gone through the fire and flow. You've peeled back the emotions, and yes, it comes in layers and cycles, and understanding what anger is, like rage. Okay, getting it down to anger, understanding that it all relates to fear, sitting there, understanding, peeling it back. Okay, then you gave yourself grace, which is the next set. Okay, which is grace in the grind. So if you go through each one, and you can find them on my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. And if you go through the playlist, you'll actually see there's each is a step and each is a process. And then we did the grace because learning about it, we had to have grace for it, right? Lend me smokes. Griff, welcome. And am welcome. So you have to give yourself grace because in understanding that you don't quite understand all the things. Well, this section specifically focuses on the accountability portion, and we've kind of peeled it back and understood that accountability doesn't equal punishment. Accountability equals showing up for yourself. Accountability is understanding when you need to give yourself grace. Because yes, sometimes you have to be, I don't want to say tough, but you have to be like, hey, that was not great. So I need to show up better. I need to do this. And there's other times where you're like, you have to understand that you need to just give yourself grace because a lot of the traumas, a lot of the things that we go through in life, grief, loss, you can't prepare for them. And no matter how much you try to prepare for them, they're going to hit how they hit. And you can't just be like, oh, you're not healed yet. Oh, it doesn't feel better yet. You have to go through the feelings. And sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes you have to circle back. It's understanding when you have to push through and when you have to sit still and feel it. And so you can let it go, right? That's accountability. What I'm teaching now is this is how we integrate it. When you learn how to pull from each cup, this is the balance. So when they talk about all the time twin flames and all that, this is my own opinion, by the way. Religion, all those things. Everyone has this, you must follow the Bible, you must follow this, you must follow that. But here's the thing, anything written by man is fallible, okay? Because we all make mistakes, we all perceive things differently. So at the end of the day, I can manipulate any word to make you think this is good, I'm higher, I'm above, or you're below, or I'm below. We can manipulate words. We can take any words and manipulate them to our perception, right? And when we have a filtered, a faulty perception, right? And there is no perfect perception, which is also why when we learn to get to know other people, their perception, when we listen with an open heart and an open mind, that's how we learn, because we're going to put our perception and your perception and someone else's perception. And when we don't just take away from it and ignore it, and we say, oh, but that makes sense, and I think it's this and you think it's that, but I bet it's probably both can be true at the same time. So when you learn to integrate it like that, you understand that if you're so focused in your own stuff and you don't ever have an open heart and open mind to listen to somebody else, you don't ever get to that point of true accountability, because you're just going to blame somebody else. Always check with you first. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Do I feel good about how I did this? Okay. And sometimes things are wrong when there's people that need to be punished, things that need to happen. It's not up to you. And that's the problem that we get in, because we get mad. And trust me, there's a lot of things going on in the world today where I could let my rage boil over. And then what? What does it do? Then I just look like the crazy person, and the things that could actually be changed and actually have things done would just get disregarded. I went through many, many stages of trauma. And you know what my favorite part of it all was when people would say, well, she's just angry. She's just abused. So that anger, she's just broken. It's because she's broken. So now we don't have to talk to her anymore. We can just disregard anything she's ever said. But the thing is, you were never broken. You were owned. You were shaped. You were forged in the fire. And when you understand that and you take that and you say, no, I'm not going to let that anger, that fear, that rage, that deep, deep rage, I'm not going to let it ruin me. I'm going to understand, why do I feel that much rage? Because I don't believe people should be mistreated. And I don't believe that anybody on the planet deserves that stuff. And I believe that 90% of the people that abuse people have been abused themselves. Maybe there are people that show up and are evil seeds, and I don't know. I still struggle with that one. But here's the thing. When we become the judge, the jury, and the executioner, we ruin the chance for anybody to have an opportunity to change. I promise you, the universe, God knows, and God will make damn sure that to show the lesson the way that we could never do it. We have, when you have a kind heart, when there's people in your life that have to leave your life and they have done you wrong, they're going to have done you wrong for a reason. And they're going to move on to somebody, and that person has the capability to teach them the things you couldn't teach them, because that's not what your heart's meant for. Okay. And when we learn that and understand that, we stop taking that projection. We stop taking all those things. We understand accountability is saying, okay, I know when I need that fire, I need that rage, because that rage, I can focus. I can focus that rage into my research, into the stuff I need to get done, into the grit, to the grime, to the dirt, to dig in that shadow, because that's what that's there. We all have that rage in us. We all have that anger. We all have that capability of just being absolute beasts. And when we understand that, it's not a bad thing. When we understand what triggers that into an unnecessary trauma is a whole different thing. Hen House, welcome. Good morning. Do you have mods? How come neither one of you? Do you have mods? Hold on. How did you not have a mod, Miss TT? What is going on around here? How did that happen? I can't even believe that. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. It's Z. Welcome. And Janet Majan, welcome, ma'ams. Okay, so understanding the reason we talk about integration like I do, how are you? Is learning that that fire is not meant to hurt you. It's not meant to trigger so you can blow up on somebody else. And trust me, we're human. Things are going to happen. I can't tell you how many times I told somebody to fuck off that probably didn't deserve it. Many, many times. Now I'm a little more reserved. I call that age, but wisdom comes with it. But it came with healing and understanding. That when we hold it in, we hold it in. We just become this boiling kettle and then we explode. And almost every single time, we're going to explode on the person that did not deserve it. And then you know what happens? Then we feel guilty and we feel shame and we feel other thing and we go into that cycle and we miss all the other stuff. Janet, welcome. I'm good. How are you? So learning to understand that is really important. You have to. That fire is meant to just put that fire right up your ass and get you over that hill, right? And it's not a bad thing. Understanding what it's there for, right? And if you go back to my Fire and Flow series, if you go, the fire becomes creation, right? Once you understand that rage, that anger is meant to tell you these are boundaries that are not okay. You cross that boundary and bitch, I'm going to jail. It's okay. You understand that, right? Like how we are with our children. Like there's anyone that's a parent knows what I'm talking about. Mess with my kids and I know I look good in orange. Like that's it. Right? We're trying not to do that though. We're letting people know this is the boundary. You cross it. It's my accountability is gone. I've done everything to warn you, right? But to that stage, before we get that craziness, we can say, I know when to pull from this anger. So what am I going to do with this anger? I know that if they cross this boundary, I'm going to jail. So when I get crazy and I think about that, what am I going to do? Okay, how would I do it? That makes me feel a little better. How would I do it? Now you're not actually doing it. But that's why do you think women watch so many murder series, right? You're channeling, you're learning, you're understanding. Doesn't mean you're going to do it, but you're turning it into knowledge, which, believe it or not, even if it's serial killer vibes at the moment, it's still learning, right? And you're inspiring more knowledge. But in doing that, it also allows you to release it because you're understanding, hey, I'm not here. I'm not actually going to go kill somebody. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, right? And then you're like, okay, so that was really great. And I learned that. So what if I channeled that into how could I protect my household a little better? How could I make sure that I'm not blowing up on my kid because they didn't deserve it because I had a rough day? How can I focus it into learning that is going to better myself, right? You understood now. We never get to rage anymore. We know that immediately if we don't want to go to prison, we don't go to rage, right? So that's something that you've already learned. You don't let it get to that far. You've caught it every single time before you explode. So that's a win, right? Now the idea is, okay, so how do I pull from that every time? Because it's going to be there, because we already know we want to pull out that rage, that superhero strength. All we got to do is think we have to protect our kid. We just have to think that something's happening, our kid's in trouble, and we can lift a car like we're just full on crazy, right? But now we know how to pull from that energy. Man, I just got to pull out, I got to figure out how to make the rest of the 16-hour shift. I'm half dead. When I tell you I worked last year, I guess it'd be the year before now. Um, I worked 12 and a half hour shifts overnight. I had to pay for my daughter to have not daycare, but private childcare, which was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And then it was 3.5 hours, 4 hours back and forth. I had to take buses and walk all kinds of crazy. Um, so that's 16 hours a day. And then, of course, my kids slept all night, wasn't in school yet. Um, I literally ran every single week. I ran off probably 6 hours sleep for a whole week for 9.5 months. I almost died. Like I don't know how I'm still alive, right? Maybe I'll go that's right. Like we will kill over our children, and as any parent should. You're never going to hear me judge. We'll also go through times where we want to kill our children. Self control. Again, we know obviously we don't want to do that. We love our children, but understanding that balance, right? And when you put it in such an extreme, the reason I'm doing it kind of in extremes like that is so that you understand, like, that's just preposterous, right? We're not going to kill somebody, although it could happen if you fuck with my kid, right? We know that it is there. The capability is absolutely there. And then we also know that uh, we can understand that mom. We can understand that person that goes through that fire. So that same amount of beast balances out that same amount of compassion, right? And when we learn to pull from each one, okay, whenever we need it, we know it's there, we have the tool, what happens? We come into balance, right? We've learned that. We know how to be accountable. When do we got to get that grit out and say, no, you're screwing up. You're not doing great today. You need to get your shit together. And then there's other times it's like, no, you've had a really rough week. You've been working your ass off. You're tired, you're exhausted. It's okay. Give yourself some grace. It's okay to make your kid chicken nuggets one day because you're dying and you just need a little bit of sleep. It's okay, right? There's a balance. And when you learn how to do that, you're actually being accountable because you know how to pull from that. Hicks Roy Cross, welcome. I worked two jobs, before I had my kid, I had full-time job. I had two full-time jobs, 60 hours a week. I was working 120 hours a week, and then I was going out on the weekends and working on the carnival Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was just gross. I don't even know how many hours I actually worked in a week. I ran on dead. My whole life I traveled with the carnival, and if anyone that knows anything with the carnival, there's no 8 hour shifts. It's 15, 18 hours. And then if you want to drink and party and be stupid with your friends, you know there's no sleep. You don't sleep, and when you do, you crash and burn, you fall out, like, you're done. So I was very used to that, and that was the chaos, and that was the chaos that kept me going. Curious Georgia, I love your name. For 9 years. Yeah. Right. In our 20s, yeah, like, I don't know. I ran away with the carnival when I was like 13, which just tells you how good my home life was. Um, and I traveled with them right up until I was, damn, almost 30, all over Canada and the US. So it was lot of traveling, a lot of craziness. But you know what I learned from that was chaos. I didn't know anything but chaos. Kathleen, welcome. Good morning. When you don't understand anything but chaos, unfortunately, you go to it, right? Because it feels comfortable. It's what you know. And the idea is here when we can get to the point of accountability, of checking in when we need grace, understanding the difference. Liturgy, welcome. um, when we can understand that, we can find that balance, and we start to understand chaos is not what we want, right? We start to recognize the patterns and we see those things. That's how we become accountable. And the whole idea is when we can figure it out, the whole next section that's coming, this is the last one for accountability, which talks about integration. But what I did for the next one, which you're already starting to see the little ads, the little shorts in the posts that are coming, it talks about you'll see that it goes out the original one, which was the fire and flow part. Then the next one is the grace, then the accountability, which is this one. So the next one is literally the alchemy of motion, because the idea is when we start to understand that we have everything we need, the tools right inside us to alchemize all of these feelings, all of these emotions. And when you just watch one of these videos or one of these lives, you only get a small amount, right? And if you don't quite understand it, and it feels frustrating because everyone's like, just do this, just do that. I went through that stage for 500 years. Like, I didn't understand it. And every time I'm trying to heal, I kept getting pulled back. And the biggest thing that I ever got out of it was, well, she's just broken, so we don't have to bother. And she's just broken, so it's not going to matter. And you know what happens when you get broken and broken and broken and broken, but you keep healing and healing and healing and healing? You get better at it and you become a professional. And I know it sounds funny, but it's true. You become a professional. And then, welcome, Andrea. There comes a space where you find that place of peace. And when you get to that place of peace, it's the most amazing thing you've ever felt in your entire life. And when you hit that and can get back to it every single time, why would you not want to share that with people? Why would you not want to show them that it's possible? I still have people to this day that are like, think I'm crazy. They think I'm crazy for coming on YouTube and trying to do this. And they think I'm crazy for building a business that sells tea when everybody else sells tea. And that's true. But there's room for all of us. When we start getting out of lack mindset and understanding that we perceive it how we perceive it, and when we understand that that filter is what creates that perception, we have to unlearn things. And it takes time to do that, which means you have to give yourself grace. Okay. And we all have bad programming, all of us, every single one of us, because we watch TV, we listen to music, we went to school, we all have a different culture, we all have a different church, we all have a different, maybe not a different church, but yeah, different religions, different cultures, different traditions, right? Misfortunes and Candy, welcome. So understanding that we all have a different perception, and there's all some form of trauma, right? Or trauma bonds, right? There's a whole big thing about that. When we all have trauma, this whole thing that's going on right now in the media, and I don't want to bring up too much about it because it's a thing right now. Until accountability happens, they're pretty much, they get no space in my head anymore. Because before, 10 years ago, I was trying to tell people about it. Again, people thought I was crazy. Now it's coming out and I'm kind of like, told ya, right? But it's nice to see people finally catching up. And the idea is, if I can teach people accountability in their own self, in their own person, it should never get to that, because these systems are rotting from the inside out. And you know why they're rotting? They're rotting because the people like you and me are afraid to stand up for themselves. Yeah, at least a decade ago. But when they're rot from the inside out, what happens? Right? We didn't stand up for ourselves. We didn't say, nah, that don't seem right, because we were afraid to lose our jobs. And I can tell you, I've lost many jobs for opening my mouth. And that used to be the other thing. She can't even keep a job. No, I can't keep a job because I don't think it's okay for you to mistreat people, even if it's not me. And the problem is, well, most times I would get mistreated, but I was so used to it that it didn't hit me until I saw somebody else being mistreated. And then I would be like, no, that's not okay. Like, that's not okay. And I'm going to say something. And 9 times out of 10, that was why I lost my job. And then it was because I was meant to learn all these things. I was meant to learn how these people are being mistreated. I was meant to learn that, because when I started my business, when I eventually get to a point, which I will, where I can hire people, I'm going to understand when things go wrong, they go wrong because you don't show up for your people. You don't check in with them. The first thing should never be punished. It should be, hey, what's going on? Can I help with anything? Is there a lesson you need help with? Is there something that I can do? Chris Lee, how are you? Good morning. Learning to understand that. That's the accountability portion. And when we integrate that, it's like everyone, when you get into that mindset, accountability is punishment. Oh my God, I was 15. I did stupid shit, and I was always grounded and losing my stuff, and that's what accountability equals, right? To us in our brain, even though we're older now and we know that that's not true. It's one of those little programs in the back. So when we have to be accountable for ourselves, our brain, even though we know that's not quite true. Our brain has this hidden thing that says, oh man, I don't want to be grounded again. Oh man, I don't want to lose the car. Oh man, I don't want to lose my phone, whatever, right? And it's still there. And because it hasn't been noticed and hasn't been addressed each time, um, and it takes practice. So it's going to happen. Like it's not the first time and then it goes away. But until it's addressed and says, wait a minute, who's going to ground me? I'm an adult now. I can't get grounded. I'm me, right? But until you recognize that and you start catching that every time, uh, that's where your brain is. So when it's time to be accountable, it becomes a struggle, right? So the idea is to teach people right away. I'm really good, Chrisley. How are you? I hope you're doing really good. I hope you had a good Valentine's Day too. So the idea that accountability is integration, right? It's understanding when to kick your own butt into gear, when to give yourself grace, when to say, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm not a teenager anymore." But if I rob a bank, I'm still going to jail. So like, there's a balance, right? But if I do something stupid, I'm not going to get grounded or lose my car. I'm just going to have to deal with the consequences, right? Understanding that accountability is just taking on whatever it is for the reaction to the action you've done. So if we constantly are understanding that before we get to an explosive point, or before we get to a place where we have to go to jail or stupid stuff or lose our jobs, like there's basic things. There's also a place where it says, hey, I don't have the accountability. I don't have the capacity to deal with other people today. I don't have the capacity to be kind. I don't have that in me today. I'm feeling really low. So maybe I'm not going to go to a whole party today. Maybe I'll just sit at home and enjoy the time with my kid. That's accountability too. And Amy, welcome. Have a good day, Kathleen. Thanks for showing up. Working on projects. Yeah, I got a lot of things going on too. If you saw the amount of content that I've been working on and putting out and preparing for the next 2 months, I got workshops I'm building in the background. I have a lot of things, and I'm trying to build products and still make some free time for art, just so I can do it. Because I keep watching Chris do it, and I'm jealous. I want to do. I want to do some more of it. I did have a really good day. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, what? Oh, so another thing, when I'm doing these, if y'all can do me a favor, if I say things that just kind of genuinely hit or whatever, this is, I guess, probably for the replays. I don't know how it works, but I'm trying to learn how to take clips of them. So if you hit the timestamps of something that's good, that would help me. Only if you can. If you can't, it's okay. I have to learn no matter what. But I remember I was thinking about that the other day. And again, if I bring it up now, there's a chance that it could be useful. And that's part of being accountable. Don't forget the things. Writing down the things for Miss TT. I know I need to write it down. If you saw my wait, here, hold on. I'm going to show you. You see my wall? That is my wall. Constantly trying to get my crap together and keep organized. The amount of stuff that I do, trying to stay accountable, keep things done, and not overwork. And guess what? When you're a single mom building a business, trying to do all kinds of things, I don't think there's a way that you cannot overwork. So finding that balance means that I have to take those 5 minutes and I got to go jump on the rebounder. I got to go for a walk. I got to go just sit by a tree for a moment. I got to make my tea and sit there with my eyes closed and be grateful because I know that I can't take entire hours right now. I'm building, and that's okay. But I also have a child, and I got to make sure I spend that time with her. So I have to make sure that I do the things that I need to do for me in the space that allows me to be there for my kids, that allows me to be here for here. That's accountability, right? And when we learn how we're integrating it, the alchemy emotion part is coming in the next is the next series. which is literally just the alchemy of motion. And you've already been seeing the posts. And I did it on purpose so that there would be a week or two ahead. So you could always go back, because I find what was happening with my posts like that, people weren't understanding kind of what I was saying until after the live. And then they would go back and see the post and be like, oh, that makes sense now. And it becomes a lot easier. So I wanted it to be a week or two ahead so that you had the moment to kind of go back and understand it, because we're planting seeds. And here, when we're accountable, all these other things become easier. And all these are bite-sized steps. It's showing up and saying, hey, how do I feel today? Do I have it in me to deal with these things? Am I allowed to take time and just do something for me and my child? Right? The idea that uh, we are our own boss, we are our own person. Do I have the capability to call in sick today? Do I have some time off? I don't have the capacity for work today. Understanding that, you work your ass off all those times when your body is telling you, like, it's not okay. I'm not feeling great. I need to show up for myself in a better way. Uh, Listening to that. That's accountability. That's saying, okay, maybe I'm going to have a sick day and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Maybe I'm going to lay in the tub today for 25 minutes and just breathe, right? That's your mental health. That's your physical health. That's you being accountable. It's understanding that accountability doesn't just mean going to blow somebody's head off or helping someone on the street. There's such a balance there, and there's so many ways to show up and be accountable when we learn what it is we need to pull from. And the only way to do that is to be accountable first to ourselves, right? And that's what we're learning. And the whole idea is, if I'm checking in with me and everything feels good to me, but then I go somewhere and I feel and something's off. Okay, I go to work and something feels off, or I'm watching something that I wouldn't want done to me. What are you going to do, right? Being accountable sometimes is saying something. Uh, Other times you're maybe not ready to go say something. Maybe you put in a comment thing like, this isn't okay, and don't sign with your name on it. There are other ways to be accountable. There's other ways to check in, but it's just understanding at what point, right? Because the more we're accountable, the less we allow all these other things to happen, because it just takes one time to let things slide. And that's how we have bad habits. That's how we have all these other struggles. Rise in love. I love your name so much. Welcome. Narado, welcome. So the idea is, fireproof accountability is in so many different small ways, right? It's not about these big, huge changes. It's making these tiny little changes that are bite sized. It's that little, how do I feel today? Am I feeling okay? Okay, maybe my back's a little sore. Maybe I'm going to do only 5 minutes on the rebounder, and we'll see how the rest of the day goes, instead of forcing a 20-minute hardcore workout, right? It's understanding that I can still show up what my capacity is, right? Understanding that this weekend was a long weekend, and to be on here with my daughter popping in and out. YouTube isn't so bad, but TikTok, they go, the people get crazy and think that you're trying to sell your kid, and like, it's just the behavior is far different between each place, right? Welcome, Emily and T-Bay. So understanding that. So do I want to deal with that? And maybe the next set I'll only do on YouTube and just post some of the lives. The reason that I always post to TikTok is because it's the first place that I started. And the people that do follow me there, the people that actually show up, I want to make sure that I'm still showing up for them. But when it becomes more of a hindrance, then I have to find that balance. And that's, again, being accountable, understanding, because in summertime, what am I going to do? I can't go live on there and then worry about my daughter running in and out, and I'm not going to go purchase childcare for something like that. So there has to be this balance. There has to be this understanding that I'm a single mom, I'm running a business, and I have to do what's right for me. But at the end of the day, until then, you always want to be understanding that I want to keep everybody in the loop as the same as possible. And maybe there are going to be times that I can do things, but it's understanding that's called being accountable, just that in itself, right? And then we have fire without flow, it's harsh, right? When we're blowing up and we're freaking out and we're worrying and all those things, it's harsh. And then you know what happens? We worry, we create more and more worry, right? Because we're perfect manifestors. And when we understand that, people talk about magic, they talk about all these things, but let's just be for real. Our words are magic, period. Okay, so if you're going to speak something into this world, do you want to speak pain and poverty and torture and all the things that are already happening? Do you want to speak more of that? Or do you want to start manifesting joy, your own autonomy, your own greatness, your own beauty, the beauty in people around you? Oh, Vars, welcome. How I've missed you. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day. But when you understand that it's in our tongue, right? When we speak, the words we speak, the intention of what we speak, we're not going to speak anymore of this negativity. We don't want to create more of it. What we want to do is create more accountability. We want to create more love, more kindness, more joy. So what are we going to speak? More love, more kindness, more joy. It's just so very simple. um, and it starts with us, because we got to catch ourselves, because guess what, we've had a lot of practice talking shit, right? uh 8 Ball, welcome. um I got 4 raised bed together in the yard and working on putting the chicken run. Man, that looks like so much fun. I planted five, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5 planters that can't go outside yet. We've got our first little bit of snow. It's so funny, but pardon me, I planted them, some broccoli, some peas, and stuff like that. Get them going. They're taking up my whole kitchen table, but the idea is Miss Grace loves to plant things, so we water them and we talk to them every day. We say welcome. They're already starting to sprout, and it's so exciting. And we're like, welcome, just like we talked to Chase, our little plant. Oh, where is he? He's over here. You can't really see him, but we talk to him every day. And the idea is that we're bringing nature to us. If we can't always be out there hanging out, um, we're gonna speak greatness. And the little sprout sprouted in 2 days. I couldn't even believe it. Um, so learning to speak greatness. Welcome. We're so excited to see you. We're excited to meet you. I'm excited for what this day has to bring. My daughter goes to school every day. I'm so excited for what this day is. Thank you, God, for the beautiful clouds in the sky. Thank you, universe, for my beautiful breakfast and my wonderful kitty cat. And we have that entire conversation in the morning, because I know for my daughter to stay focused, and for my daughter to even try to have a good day and not get caught in the chaos, um, got to boost her up, got to hype her up. But I got to hype her up in being able to say thank you. The manners on this kid, and the way she will celebrate you is just, it's beautiful. And I actually was like, I don't know where she gets it from. And this was last year. And her teachers and everybody that are around her are like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, now I see it, now I understand it. But at the time, I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, that's what you do. You cheer people on, you boost them up. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I do, right? You don't see what you're doing, and that's good and bad, right? You don't realize what you're actually doing. Um, you don't actually check in with yourself. I did it automatically because it was something I never got, right? So I would go above and beyond to make sure that I'm doing that. And what I did is I cheered other people on way, way more than I cheered my own self on, because I didn't get it. So I was trying to overcompensate. So now I've learned to balance. I can still cheer you on and celebrate you, but I can also celebrate myself, and I can take some of that energy and put it into myself, because I was giving, giving, giving until there was nothing left. And I had to be accountable, because that was making it easier for people to take advantage, right? Not everybody takes advantage, but so many people do, because they don't know the balance. They don't understand. And a lot of times they haven't had it. So when they do get it, it's not even so much that they're trying to take advantage in an abusive way. It's because they haven't had it. It's just like somebody who's starved all the time, and then you finally get this food and it's available. And what are you going to do for the first little while? You're going to just take, 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 and you're gonna over consume because you haven't had it, right? And learning to understand that created a space for me that. Hold on. I hate when that happens, the notifications. It created a space for me that allowed me to uh, give grace for that and understand that, okay, I have to put up a little bit of a fence and say, no, I need to fill my cup first. And then in turn, I could do that. I stopped punishing myself or expecting other people to do it for me and realized that I do what I have the capacity to do. And that's just it, right? Felix and the Milkman son, welcome. Milkman son. I like that. Um, yes, I'm thankful and pray that out with gratitude in the mornings. Yes, I love that. And the evenings. I thank God for him giving me what I needed to get through this day. Amen. And I also I don't just I don't just pray. I'm weird like that, and that's my own thing. And I'll never tell somebody how to do something. I talk to God like literally all the time, all day. I talk like it's my best friend. Um, when I'm thinking things, I'm processing. I go through them when I'm trying to understand. And there's many times I get answers immediately. like uh, people get so caught up in this bow your head, pray, and all those things. And I've tried that so many times. And what uh, I've talked to God my whole life, right? And I didn't know, like I would feel shame for it because people would be like, you have to do it this way, you have to do it this way. Um, Again, that's one of those things that usually comes from specific uh, some rule, some outset rule that somebody decided to set. My idea is when you, and this is my own thing, I'll never force it on anybody, but how you talk to God is how you talk to God. um, and it's going to change at any given day. There's going to be times where you're frustrated and you're like, what the hell is this? What do you want me to do, right? And then there's going to be times like, oh, okay, I get it now. I just needed a minute, right? But when we understand that our connection is each our own, and however we have to get to that connection uh, is all that matters. And sometimes you need to go to church to get that connection, um, but the idea is to start integrating it so you always have that connection. And truly you do, you just have to be open to it. You don't have to just bow your head and pray. You can all the time, but when you're just sitting in gratitude all the time and you're having those conversations, you start to become in flow. Okay, the being accountable, the showing up, you're asking yourself these questions, you're asking it out, and then God answers, your angels answer, your ancestors answer. Which, by the way, when they're like, oh, that's not God, well, who do you think sent them? Right? Like, people kind of, that whole thing gets kind of crazy. Miriam and Corey, welcome. There's so much judgment and box in and stereotypes and all these things that people do, unfortunately, a lot of times subconsciously too. It's not even something that they realize they're doing. And those are the things, the programs that keep us from understanding our own personal connection with God and our own personal connection, and understanding that what works for me may not always work for you. Um, and the things that I'm teaching here, they're a starter for you. They're not giving you all the answers. You know what works for you. So if I hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Woo, pardon me. If I can show you how to focus and listen to yourself and get the answer, then I'm winning. It's not about me telling you how to fix it. It's not about me telling you how to check in. But the only thing I can say is when you ask yourself why, um, and maybe help you with a couple things to change the anger, to understand it, to switch the energy so you're not out of explosive mode. So you go into from explosion to curiosity. Like, why does that make me so upset? Why is that absolutely so extreme? Why do I keep doing that? Because that's a pattern. And when I can understand the pattern, I can catch the pattern further back. So I can't give you the answers. My idea will never be to give you the answers. I can get you started. I can help you get curious. I can help you um, find ways to change the energy so you don't explode while you're learning your own pattern, while you're learning to understand it. That's the difference. And I think that if more people understood that, um, It's not about punishment. Accountability is about checking in. It's about getting curious. It's about knowing when to push our ass a little harder and when to give ourselves grace. Knowing when we have the absolute ability to shine in front of thousands of people and when we need to hide away because we're not feeling our greatest. When we need to exercise a little more or slow it down. When we need a little more discipline or we're being too disciplined and we got to have a little more freedom. Those are all places of accountability that absolutely create this autonomy. And when we get to that place on our own self, we never get to a place where we have to worry about legal ramifications. We don't have to worry about getting arrested. We don't have to worry about driving drunk. We don't have to worry about doing things that are messed up. We don't have to worry about getting sued because we're not mistreating people because we are checking with ourselves. Why did what they say triggered me? That shouldn't have upset me. That shouldn't have bothered me. So I know enough to be silent or walk away. Before it gets to the point where you're going to explode, right? Welcome, Ariel and the Queen Spooky. I like that name. So understanding that, learning that accountability isn't just one thing. It's just about checking in. It's about understanding and catching it, right? And sometimes you may catch it right before explosion, right before, and that's okay because you didn't explode. And instead of saying, "Oh man, I almost exploded," hey, I didn't explode this time. I didn't get to that point. What did I do to stop me? Is there a way I could notice it maybe a little earlier next time? That's a much different reframe than, man, I almost screwed it up again. You see, we're trained to punish ourselves. We're trained to either not be accountable at all, right? Or be so utterly accountable that we guilt, grief, shame ourselves into spirals, self-sabotage, into not understanding what we're really trying to accomplish because we're so busy feeling guilty or shameful for something that was not irrational. It was maybe a little not the nicest thing to do, but there was a reason. You were feeling that anger for a reason. Something was crossed. Nobody gets angry or flips out at somebody if there's no reason, right? So there's always a reason. And when you understand that, it's not about saying they did it to me. It's about saying, what made whatever this happened make me so upset? Because now you can check it. Now you can understand it. Now you're like, oh, that's a pattern. Where does that pattern go? Because if there's a pattern, it means you can follow it back. And if you follow it back with the why, oh, I got to sit here for a moment because I don't understand that. So why does this one really, really bring up that anger? What is it about this part of this pattern that brings up that anger? And then what happens? You sit with it, you understand it, and you're like, oh, that happened when I was 6. That happened when I was 12. And I didn't like when I saw that happen to somebody else. And that really, really, really upset me. And I don't want to see that happen to me or somebody else. But you can catch it. Okay, and when you understand that there are things that you have control over and there's things that you don't have control over, and the things that you don't have to control over, you have to say, I send out a prayer. I send out a miracle for those. Every time an ambulance drives by, every time a fire truck drives by and they're got their sirens on, I send out a prayer. I pray everybody's okay. I pray everything is good. I can't worry about what happened because I don't know what happened, and that worrying is just going to create more of it. So when we learn enough to be accountable to say, I don't know what's going on, only you know, but I'm sending out a prayer for their safety. And, those kind of things are being accountable. They're understanding it's not under my control, so it has to be out of my heart and mind. That doesn't mean you can't send out a prayer and say, I really do. I hope for the best for these people. And that's all you can do. You can't worry about it for the rest of your life because you have life, your own stuff to take care of. Learning to understand that I can't control that, but I can control how I drive. I can control how I pay attention to the road, right? That's what's in my control. And I can make sure that I'm not the one that creates an accident for somebody else. I can make sure that I'm in control. I make sure I'm doing the right things. I'm paying attention. I'm not texting. Those kind of things, right? That's being accountable. And you just caught it before all the other stuff happened. Welcome, Gypsy. How are you? So flow is compassion, it's softness, it's understanding, it's allowing emotions to move without judgment, right? It's allowed to that fear, that anger, all of those things. They have every right to be there because they're there to teach you something. Oh, I'm sorry for you, KLV. That's not a good day. Preparation H. I don't know. Try it. Yeah. But flow alone can drift, right? If you don't flow with it, if you don't understand, if you don't give yourself grace in the moment to understand what it is, you don't get the chance to be curious, right? And the whole thing is we want you to get to a point where you can pull from this, you can pull from that, and okay, I have to give myself grace because I'm just newly understanding, and that's okay. Uh, and I also have to give myself grace because I'm allowed to feel that anger. That pissed me off, and I had every right to be pissed off about that. Now, but why did it piss me off? Why? Because I wouldn't want that to happen to my kid. I wouldn't want that to happen to my neighbor. I wouldn't want to see anybody go through that. Uh, that's why it pissed me off. Okay, so now you know what it was. So, what is it that I can do? Is there a way that I could be a little extra caring? So, you have to walk your kid to the bus stop. Uh, Maybe there's no other parents there, there's a whole bunch of kids. So, maybe instead of worrying about it all day, you stay that extra 10 minutes and wait until they get on the bus, right? Because they're not all your kids, but I'm here. I can pay attention. And if I see something, I can say something. If something doesn't look right, I can step in. Um, maybe it doesn't seem like that big of a thing, but do you know that those 6 or 7 kids trust you? Those 6 or 7 kids, parents see you out there and they know that their kid is safe, so they don't have to worry. So you've done that one little extra thing, whatever it may be. You've taken that and you've given grace to all these other parents. You've given grace to these kids. You're being accountable and you're doing something that allows you to feel in control of what you can control, right? And that's a small thing. But if we all did that one little thing, not just that, but any one little thing, keeping an eye on the kids. Your kids are outside playing. You see all the other kids and you see them getting rough or crazy. You're like, we're not going out to beat somebody else's kid, but you're going to go out to them and say, hey, that's not okay. Can we just take a moment? Right? That's called being accountable. Chana, welcome. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. Every time I click on this, I kick myself out. Give me one sec. Trying to add you as a moderator. There we go. But the idea is we have different ways to be accountable. We have so many different ways that we can do things. And when we take that fire, that anger, that fear, all of those things that create that negative emotion, and understand that that negative emotion is only meant to teach us how we can be accountable, how we can show up in a better way. Because when we focus that negative emotion and we use that, okay, is it worth it for me to be 5 minutes late every day to work because I got to stand with those kids? Yes. Because I bet if you communicated it to your boss and say it's important because those kids stand out there by themselves and I don't feel safe about it, and I don't feel good about it. And if something happened because I didn't stand for that 5 minutes, I would not feel good about it. And 9 times out of 10, your boss is going to be like, okay, understood. They know you're going to be late for those 5 minutes. You'll stay that extra 5 minutes, whatever, right? There's things that can be made. There's an understanding. And when you speak it up and you say exactly why, because it means something to you, who knows? Maybe one of those kids are your boss's kid. You don't always know all the kids. Eventually, you do get to know them. But hair by Sammy, welcome. So the whole point is, when we see something, we say something, and instead of taking that anger um, and using it as a tool to explode or carry all this negativity, we're using it as a tool to ask why. Okay, that's where the accountability comes in. Why is it? How can I do something, right? I understand I have to give myself grace. I have every right to be mad about that. I have every right that pisses me off that these bad things are happening in the world. Um, I have to give myself grace because it makes me angry, right? How can I be accountable? I can't change what's going on. There's nothing I can do that can change that right now. But you know what I can change? I can change my area. I can change how I behave. I can change how I show up. I can change how I speak out when I see things. Um, see something, say something. I can teach other people to be accountable. I can teach other people how to show up in their communities in just a little better way, in just the smallest ways. I can teach people how to say, man, if that don't feel good to you, uh, if you can check in and see yourself, uh, and it doesn't feel good to you, you can say, okay, for me to be accountable, if I know that doesn't feel good to me, if I did that to someone else, they're probably not going to like it, right? You have the ability to say, okay, so I'm going to shut it now. That's me being my little harsh. I know I'm not in the position. I'm angry, and what I say is not going to be nice. So I'm going to shut my mouth, and then I'm going to move along, or not respond, right? That's being accountable. But then there's other times where you're pissed off and you see it and it's wrong and you speak up, and that's okay too. You're speaking up. You're not going and attacking somebody. You're not picking a fight. You're saying, I'm here. I don't think that's okay, and I'm just letting you know that I saw that, and and I'm not okay with it. And sometimes that's all it takes, because a lot of people they're not as self-aware and they don't understand. So sometimes it only just takes speaking up, and then they're like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that, right? So when we don't attack and we understand that, to give grace, how many times did we snap before we understood what was happening? How many times did we speak out and say things out of fear, anger, and all those things because we didn't understand? So when we speak up, we actually give people the opportunity to also step up, right? To do the right thing. And that's when it comes down to understanding the accountability part, right? Sorry, the puzzle piece. And that's what I want people to understand. When we start teaching like that, and taking those moments to understand that accountability isn't about giving ourselves shit or getting punished or going to jail or any of those things. It's understanding that accountability means I understand that there's an action I need to take to show up and be accountable, and that may be to give myself grace. That may be to be a little more proactive in something. That may be to say something. That may be to say, what is it? Why is this making me angry? It may be to create better boundaries. It may be a million different things, but being accountable and understanding what it is starts with you checking in, right? It's with you saying, well, what is it bringing up in me? Because if it's rising up emotion in me, that means there's something that needs to be checked in with. Something needs to be understood, because emotion is what? Energy and motion, right? So when we learn to understand it like that, we are actually alchemizing it. We're taking the negative, all of the things, and when it's a negative feeling, it's negative, and we're turning it into positive. But you know what else we're doing? We're taking that positive, the kindness. That made me feel really good. And sometimes it takes, I could tell you whole stories on that, because when you're not used to receiving, it can be very hard to learn how to do. But taking that kindness and understanding that really made me feel good. So you know what else can happen? You can take that kindness and you can expand it out, and that's accountable too. So understanding when to do this and when to do that, and pull from each tool part of the tool belt is what accountability is. It's knowing when to give yourself grace, when to spread that love, when to share it along. Everywhere you go, like that's the absolute greatest. I love you, Miss TT. I know you're still here. You show up for me, and I appreciate you more than you know. Um, so accountability and integration. This is kind of like the key. We'll do a little keyword thing, because I take a lot of notes. And this one I kind of really talked, and I didn't really talk much about my notes because I know this one so well. And I try to take notes because I want people to understand where I'm coming from. But I think that when I put down the notes, I speak far better from the heart, because I can tell you story after story. Uh, from all kinds of wild crazy to the sweetest in the world. I've been through a lot of things, which we all have, right? And we all have probably some of the best stories in the world. And if there's one thing that I love is listening to other people's stories. I could sit there all day just like this, because I'm just a sucker for stories. And I forget that. And sometimes I want to take my notes and all the things. And I forget that my superpower really is just telling the story and explaining, because I go off on tangents sometimes too. So reeling it in is the other struggle, but we're working on it. So these are my little keywords here. Accountability is where truth and compassion meet. It sounds like, yes, I made that choice. Yes, that hurt. Yes, I can do better. It's fireproof accountability, right? That's is saying, yeah, I made the wrong choice. It wasn't my best look. Uh, didn't feel great, but I can do better, right? There's always something that moves you forward, and when you take that and you use that as a learning step, it's a stepping stool. Chrissy G, welcome. And understanding that that's alchemy in motion. Every time you learn, every time you take a moment to pause, listen, understand, uh, and then continue moving from integrity, not from anger or fear or resentment or any of those things. You're moving from integrity, from clarity, from understanding. No, I'm not doing this out of anger. I'm doing this because this is what needs to be done. Or maybe I'm not ready to move forward. I gotta pause here a moment because I'm a little angry still. So I need to make sure what it is that I'm still angry, because if I go in angry, you can almost guarantee that anger is going to just create more anger from the other side. And you don't want to do that, right? So it's not shame, it's not self-attack. We're not bypassing it, we're not ignoring it. We're saying, hey, what is that? Why does this feel that way? And we're owning it. We're owning it. It's okay to be an asshole today. I don't feel great. I feel like I'm very sarcastic. I feel like I'm stepping out of line. I feel like I'm going to be mean to everyone I come in contact with. And that may not be the case, but that's how you feel. So guess what? I'm not going to go to a party. I'm not going to go to a dinner party. I'm not going to invite a bunch of people over. I'm going to hang out at my house and chill out. Maybe I'll go for a walk and see how the day goes. Because I understand that energy can change when I start moving and I start doing things and do something different. So I completely understand that. But knowing that I wasn't really great and I was feeling agitated and maybe I don't know what it is yet means I know enough that I'm not going to go jump into some party mode. I'm not going to go over here. I'm going to stay back and I'm going to see how I'm feeling. That's accountability at the best. Yes, you have to have your boundaries first. They have to be for you, because if you don't, if you're bending your boundaries for everybody else, uh, you're the only one that gets hurt in the end, because people, especially people that aren't self-aware, and there's so many more people that are not self-aware these days. It is growing though. I'm seeing more and more people waking up and becoming more and more accountable, and really that's all that you can ask, right? When you're accountable on your own end, you can't force somebody else to be accountable. But if they refuse to be accountable, you already know what that means. That means you gotta be away from them, right? You're not going to take accountability for everybody else all the time. You're going to say, no, I know how to be accountable. You keep avoiding accountability. I'm going to step away because I don't want to be taking your lessons for you. And that it just becomes a point where it becomes so easy to do and so easy to understand that you don't even think. It's just like breathing. And that's what I really want to teach people. So, we're talking about ownership, right? Accountability is ownership, but it's based in your own self-trust. And it's your faith and responsibility. It's got to be both. It can't be one or the other. Um, I'm going to hop, but I always love coming to hang out. It's just like sitting. I know. I love doing these, and unfortunately, I have a workshop here. I was gonna, you know what? I'm gonna do these. Rooted in self-trust. Yeah, I'm not going to do the rest of the notes because I took so long. I'm going to pull just 3 cards, and hopefully I can get through them before the end. And the only reason I do this is because when I tell the message, these ones actually have guidance. They have actual action steps that you can take. And I only like to pull a couple. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. And I could literally be on here all day and I wouldn't have a problem. But then I wouldn't learn nothing because I have my other workshops. I'm learning and all business stuff to get my business up and going. Have a good day. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. All right. Can I just have one? That was quick. Loving compassion. Oh, the full spectrum. So you got both. And I'm not going to read them both because they're long. Okay, but when we understand to understand the full spectrum, we got to start with loving compassion. And it's the first thing that we have to do for ourselves. And I'm going to read this one because it will more encompass it. Uh, if I can find it. Here we go. Okay. Creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles, going beyond the judgment of good and bad, the merging of duality. Yes, that's what I'm trying to teach everybody. When we understand what that is, we all have it, every single person. And when we find that balance in it, we actually create a space where we don't have to question ourselves. We don't have to second guess. And nobody can tell you any different when once you learn what to pull from, what to learn from. You understand. You understand very well. So, what does heaven on earth look like to you? Do you imagine lush green nature, ancient forests, pristine beaches, crystalline water systems, and all the planet's residents in full health, living in harmony with each other? And yet, nature in its purest, rawest form is a balance of life and death, growth and decomposition, the eaters and the eaten. In one way or another, this is the natural flux of life. We already live in Eden, but our efforts to own and segregate bring us farther away from this paradigm. Power trips, Power trips, the need for imagined security, fear or avoidance of the shadow keep us out of our freedom. The need to preserve and hold on tightly only stunts our growth and leaves us drowning in a sea of plastic. The real disease on earth, the barrier to Eden, is in our minds. Life happens, but it is our perception of the good and bad and our black and white judgments that prevent us from seeing the grander truth. When duality becomes one, we will find Shambhala before us. Uh, Perhaps we can find inspiration from nature and the animal kingdom. Does the tiny frog spend his day anxious over its vulnerable future? What happens when we realize fertile compost greets us when we allow ourselves to transmute our pain? When we honor all that came before, our roots are nourished and we grow with more vitality, vibrancy, and life force. When we anchor more light for the collective, and in turn, we see new growth. What happens when we realize the keys to our future are in the wisdom of the earth and the dreamings of the indigenous? Uh, that the answers are the geometry of the macro and microcosm, the nurturing embrace of oneness in Mama Nature's arms. What happens when we find peace within the full spectrum of life? Even the notion of separation, this dis-ease, can be symbolized as no more than a blackened leaf on a healthy tree. The ebb and flow of our evolution and the devolution is a temporary blip in the universe. The message is to be what we can, to ground heaven on earth, but not of fear. We often try to avoid or run from negative situations, but when fear steers our decisions and actions, far more devastation can result. When we choose to let our hearts lead us away from the stories and outdated patterns, our challenges become the fertile compost that feeds our ascending tendrils as they reach the heavens and ground its light back on earth. Step out of the black and white mentality of judgment. Go beyond the concepts of the good and bad. This card invites you to honor the full spectrum of life and find a new way of perceiving your situation. When we judge something, we create a story around it. These stories often create limitation. Subconsciously, we gather so many of these stories over a lifetime. To heal our dis-ease and crystallize the new way, we need to create a space of no story where miraculous healing can happen. This space empowers us to be all we are and allows us to know our truth. Embrace the full spectrum of creation and in all her colors and the raw, muddy, earthbound shadow parts of a situation to determine whether they are actually bad or if stories you have held on to are limiting your perspective. When we can understand the full spectrum, the duality, and find the balance, that's what accountability is, right? There was not one as sacral chakra. And the reason I'm showing this one is the bottom of the deck. And do you understand that the sacral chakra is our security, right? That is where we feel safe. Our root and our sacral. That's what they're about. And finding that stability and balance is a big thing. And then when we realize that full spectrum is being accountable, it's understanding the good, the bad, the ugly, and not letting it hinder us. It's understanding that almost all of the learning comes from the ugly. And when we shy away from it and we avoid it, what we do is we hinder ourselves. We hinder our growth. We hinder our ability to learn, to thrive. Um, it's not saying go jump into all the bad things, but when it does come, there's always a lesson in it. And if it's coming our way, whether it's grief, whether it's sadness, whether it's fear, whether it's trauma, um, take the time to feel it, to understand it, to heal through it. But also, and that's the grace part, but the accountability part says, okay, that came my way. What was the reason for that? What was the lesson I needed to learn? Can you show me? And it's okay to ask if you don't know right away. Thumbelina, I love that name. And Quay Quay, welcome. Scorpio, I don't know if I said welcome already, but welcome. Um, Finding that balance is seems really complicated in the beginning, and it took me a long time to get there. Mind you, mine was a really messy journey. Not everybody's is as crazy as mine, but mine was as crazy as it was because uh, I can pretty much tell you a story for anything where I had to learn, um, because I've been through so much crazy stuff, and it's not a badge of honor or anything. It's just that I can relate. And sometimes that's what it is. You had to go through it so you could just understand. You had to see the other side. You had to see all sides. There's not just two sides, right? There's usually your side, my side, and then the truth, right? What actually happened. And when we learn to see that, if I feel this way, they probably feel this way. So what's the middle ground? What's the compromise? What's the actual truth? And when we start to look from those perspectives and see it like that, it becomes a lot easier to see it from a higher perspective, which in turn immediately takes you to balance, to curiosity, to learning, to listening with an open heart and an open mind. And it doesn't mean you have to bow down and agree, say everybody's right. But when you learn to see from other people's perspectives, it allows you to see where they're coming from. And if you see where they're coming from, it allows you to give yourself and them more grace because they're trying to communicate to you. And when they're telling you what their perspective is and what they're seeing it from and how they're seeing it, you can see from that filter. You can understand that filter. Um, and even if you don't agree with it, you can say, okay, I understand that. And it's a lot easier to meet in the middle because if you see it this way, and I know I see it this way, um, is there a way we can meet in the middle here so we're not constantly fighting? Is there a way that we can compromise? And that's where we create real change, right? That's where we understand there's certain things we're not compromising. Our boundaries are our boundaries, and that is a hard no. And that's okay. And it's okay to never change that. Welcome, Kara and Milo. And they have their boundaries. So what you got to understand is this is the safe space. This is the middle ground. This is where compromise can happen. And when we're accountable to our side and accountable enough to understand their side, which means somewhere in the middle, change can actually happen. And the more we can show up like that, the more we can understand the duality and we can understand all the different phases. And we can really, really create change that way. So this one is my gratitude deck. When you recognize and reflect on even one good thing about yourself, you're building a bridge to a place of kindness and sharing. Write down one of your favorite traits about yourself. Celebrate why you love this about yourself. Always be thankful. Always be grateful for all of the things, the good, the bad, the ugly. Because if you didn't have the bad and ugly, you'd never get to the good. And you wouldn't know what good was. That's unfortunately, free will and all those things. They're there because unfortunately you can't know the absolute joy without absolute pain. You would never know the difference. And when we start understanding and looking at things from that perspective, it's a lot easier to have compassion for yourself and for everybody else. Legoat, welcome. Okay. 555, clarity. It's funny that came out the other day too. I think it was Valentine's Day. We're starting to understand when we get that clarity, transformation, change, opportunity, momentum, process, success, adaptability, and achievement. You're not a victim of circumstance. You are a beneficiary, enriching your life experience. By embracing and adapting to change, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. Trust that everything is unfolding for the best. You're achieving your goals, and everything will work out perfectly in the end. When you start to understand and find that balance and be accountable to yourself first, always to yourself first, that's when clarity comes. That's when it allows you to change. It allows you to think. It allows you uh, to get curious, to ask for the answers and then listen for them because they're always there. Uh, Clarity is where balance happens, but you don't get clarity without showing up, without being accountable, without asking those questions. Welcome, Stacy and Sing. Uh, so that's what I have for today. Just understand that uh, when we learn how to integrate it, and if you want to go through some of the other ones, I think it would be a great idea. We talked about the Fire and Flow series, so you're peeling it back, you're understanding um, what each emotion is trying to teach you, what it's trying to tell you, because there's a thing for each one of them. Um, and then the grace and the grind allows you to understand it's okay to give yourself grace because everybody has the right to feel how they feel. And almost every single time, I can't think of one time in my life where I didn't deserve that. Where I shouldn't have been validated for some of the things. Was it maybe a little victim mentality? Maybe, but it's because nobody else showed up and nobody else said, no, that wasn't right what you went through, and that wasn't okay. So I had to give that to myself, right? And that's okay. Giving yourself grace in those moments um, validates that for you, and it doesn't have to be validated by the whole world. It just has to be validated by you and say, I have every right to be pissed off right now. Peel it back, give yourself grace in that moment, but then sit in it, feel it, and say, what is it teaching me? Because when you go from rage, from all those things to giving yourself that grace that nobody else ever gave you, it's okay. You can give it to yourself. To turning that into accountability, what is it trying to teach me? The next step is the action. The accountability is to show up. The alchemy emotion is when you do the action to change that. And when you get to that point, anything, everything that comes your way is always going to be to your highest benefit because you know how to feel it, first understand it, feel it, question it. How do I change it? Be accountable and do it. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys because that's alchemy emotion and it is actually a gift. They talk about it all the time, everywhere. You can look it up. Transmutation, right? When you're transmuting the energy, it is a huge gift and it's such a hard thing to do. And so many people get so lost and think, I don't know. But when you look back at all the things that you've been doing in your life, you've been doing it. Sometimes it was a little slower because you didn't understand it. You've been doing it your whole life. Every time you got up and tried again, that's what you were doing. Every time you tried a different way, that's what you were doing. And if we could break it back down and bring it back to this little getting curious, being accountable, showing up, these simplest things, if we can break it down and start practicing that and understanding that we've already been doing it. We just have to learn, oh yeah, we did it this time, it worked that time, and it worked that time, and it worked that time, and it worked that time. Why wouldn't it work this time? It's understanding that you've been doing it your whole life. And instead of disregarding it, if you just paid a little more attention to it and celebrated it a little bit more, you would understand you're already a master at it. That's fantastic. Celebrate it. Hi, Tony. How are you? I'm just about to get off here. I got 2 minutes left, but I'll be back on Friday for another one. That's when we're going to start the alchemy emotion. And you're going to get this speech a lot for me for the next one because I'm trying to get it in your head because we've all been doing it. You're all been doing it already your whole life. Every single time you got up and tried again, tried something different, trial and error is one of those things. You've literally been doing it your whole life. Now it's just learning how to own it, to embrace it, to celebrate it, and start using it in the ways that are actually going to benefit you your whole entire life. That can actually create change that will expand out into the amount of beauty, the amount of joy, the ability to always walk around smiling because you know how to get there every single time, and that's an amazing place to be. All right, I got to get out of here, guys. I'll be back on Friday. I may do one more through the week, and I'll just come on and do some little gratitude card pulls and stuff. just fun for some advice and stuff, I think is a good idea. Hi, Adrian. But I got to get my ass out of here. I'm going to be late for my workshop. I love you guys. And I'll try, let's try for Wednesday. Wednesday morning, I'll come on for a couple hours. And we'll do some card pulls and stuff. I love you guys so much. Thank you for showing up. And I'll see you later. Have a good day.